Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Jeremy. Welcome to Polyphonic Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new album by Hacienda. The album was called Shakedown. Now, Hacienda are an American rock and roll band. They've been around for a couple years. They're from Texas, and this is their third album overall. And they were discovered by Dan Auerbach, who has produced all of their albums so far. And they actually served as his backing band when he went on his solo tour. And this is their third album, and this album starts off with a song called Veronica. And the song really sounds a lot like an old 1960s garage rock song, but the thing about it is it really sounds a little more hi-fi, a little more modern, a little more updated. So what they've done with this song is structurally it sounds like a song from the 60s, but sonically it sounds very updated. So what they've really done is blended the old with the new, and they seem to be doing that a lot on this album. And it's really cool combination because they're sort of saluting their influences, but at the same time they're using new technology and new recording techniques to make it sound the best that it can. I really thought the song Veronica was a really good opener for this album because it really gives you a glimpse into what you're going to expect with this album. Each song sort of has its own uniqueness going on with it, but it's still pretty consistent and it all sounds like Hacienda. The song Don't Turn Out the Light really reminds me of late 70s, early 80s new wave sort of song, kind of like Nick Lowe or Elvis Costello and things like that. The use of the synthesizer and especially the vocal melody really sounds a lot like The Jam. One thing that was interesting to me is the sound of the drums on this song. The drums are very dead and dry, and there's not a lot of reverb on them. They're very close to the mic, and they're very present in the recording. And it's a really cool technique that they've used for this song. And it's really not used on any of the other songs. It's just a little thing that sets it apart from the opening song on this album. My favorite song on this album is probably You Just Don't Know, and it's very mellow, but it's still got an intense groove with it. It's a little bit slower. It's more like a mid-tempo kind of rock song. The guitar sounds are really well done, and the organ comes in, and it's very subtle, but it still kind of lets you know that it's there, but it doesn't really take over the recording of the song. It's just sort of done for flavoring, sort of like adding salt to a recipe. You just sort of add it in a little bit to enhance the recording. One thing I noticed about this song too is that it fades out in the end, and which is something you really don't hear very often these days. It was used a lot back in the 70s and into the 80s, kind of lost it a little bit in the 90s where you would have a definite end to the song where the song would have a what they call a dismount. It was an ending to the song was actually written. But a lot of this time in the 70s, more recording techniques, they developed a way to fade the song out at the end. And since the 70s, it really hasn't been used very much. It does get used quite a bit, but not as much as it used to. And it's sort of a little thing that I noticed that would kind of made this album a little more unique is the actual fade out at the end. Yeah, it's just sort of a little nerdy observation that I made. The song Natural Life takes on a completely different tone from the rest of the album. It's sort of a jangly kind of pop song with the acoustic guitar, and it has my favorite combination, which is the acoustic guitar mixed in with the distorted electric guitar. I really don't know why I love this combination so much, but it gets me every time, and I really love that combination of, having that sort of, I think it's the yin and the yang that goes along with it. Like that really rock guitar mixed in with the soft acoustic guitar really blends really well for me. I would really compare this song to later version of The Byrds when they were getting into doing a little more country rock kind of stuff. When Graham Parsons was in the band briefly, he did led them into a more of a country kind of vibe, and that kind of has a little bit of that going on, a bit of CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, mixed in there as well. The album ends with a song called Pilot in the Sky, and right away I get a feeling that it's like a Doors song, especially the way that it builds up with the drum sound and the piano. It's very spacey, very electric. I think it really closes the album well. It harkens back to a lot of songs from the 60s, like a lot of songs on this record. And a good way to close the album is with a slower song. You don't want to close a live set with a slower song, but to close an album, it's absolutely perfect, and it usually works really well. And yeah, I really like the way they chose to end this album. Sonically, this album is really well done. I was actually pleasantly surprised by how well it was done. Everything is mixed really well, and you can hear everything very clearly, and you can tell they really spent their time getting all the sounds right and correct and everything like that. Although there's a diverse set of styles being played around with on this album, um, everything is pretty consistent, and you can tell that everything is Hacienda, and it really sounds a lot like them. I really like this album. It's really becoming one of my favorite albums of the year. I don't really have very many problems with this album, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I know it is a really high score, but it really is that good. So anyway, that's what I thought about the album. Let me know what you guys think in the comments or with the video response. Please leave your suggestions for albums for me to review in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Take care.